Hello, I'm Lizzie and I would like to talk to you today about humanising the brand through storytelling, which is a case study of South Wales Police. Having a keen interest in storytelling, especially within the context of marketing activity, I was fascinated to see an example of this in my social media feed, not from a consumer brand, but from South Wales Police. Normally, this profile draws bouquets and bombs in equal measure in terms of feedback, and so I engaged with the posts with more than mild curiosity, wondering what sort of response they would receive from their attempts to humanise their brand. The storytelling was personal, authorial exposure was evident and perhaps a little discomforting for an organisation that has traditionally protected the identities and the personal details of its employees. The title of the campaign was #HumansOfSWP. The introduction to the campaign, which I couldn't help but read whilst hearing Morgan Freeman narrating, went, "They're the investigators, crime fighters, problem solvers, the go-to in times of emergency and crises. But behind the uniforms, the phones, the desks, they're also mothers, fathers, husbands, wives, sons, daughters, siblings, caregivers. They're sportsmen, adventurers, volunteers. They have hobbies, hopes, worries, ambitions, idols. They're more than just a uniform. They are the #HumansOfSWP. So let me share with you some of the posts and ask you to make a note perhaps as you view and listen as to the emotions that they evoke in you. First, we have Lewis, who is a heritage officer and an historical reenactor. He's part of a group called Ragged Victorians, the Great Unwashed, portraying the working class of 1850. He plays the role of a muffin man carrying a tray of baked goods. He enjoys engaging with the public, putting special effort into talking to families with young children with a view to giving them an insight into history. He talks about letting them feel the scratchy clothes and how heavy the props are, things you don't get from a textbook. His family think he's a little bit odd, but Lewis enjoys the interaction with other people. 337 like and love emoticons for this post and 18 positive textual responses. Heather was diagnosed with young onset Parkinson's at the age of 38. She had attributed her shakiness to stress and anxiety, but then her brother was diagnosed with the disease and her husband suggested that she may also be suffering from it. She talks about her father dying of cancer and her husband leaving her with 2 young children whilst waiting for her diagnosis. Since then, with treatment, she feels much better, less stressed and more confident. She talks of support and exercise groups and displays fortitude when she says that she refuses to just sit there and let Parkinson's stop her living her life. 355 like, love and care emoticon responses for this and 37 positive comments of support. Jen lives with a rare genetic blood disorder called neutropenia. She says the condition makes her want to help people to raise awareness of the bone marrow transplant register and of the implications of genetic inheritance. Her story is brief and she ends by commenting on developments in the NHS which facilitate her treatments. 184 like, love and care responses and 10 positive text comments for this one. Warren is a PCSO and served in the army for 24 years with experience in regimental policing. He took part in the vigil around the Queen's funeral and considers that to be a proud and defining moment in his career. He raises money for Neighbourhood Watch by running half marathons, and this post drew 393 like and love emoticon responses with 39 positive comments. A lot of the people who commented quite obviously knew Warren. John, in his spare time, is an international assistant football referee. He writes of the challenges of juggling a full-time role, a fitness-demanding activity and a young family, and tells of his employer's support. John likens some aspect of refereeing to police work, noting that he is sometimes subject to abuse and challenging situations needing speedy reactions. 260 like and love responses for this and 47 positive comments. Jenna is a detective constable and at 37 has twice had cancer. She is single. and writes of having been through the adoptive process as a potential parent and having been approved. She is now waiting for a child of her own. Her family are hugely supportive, and she's looking forward to giving a child the same sort of love, stability, routine and opportunities that she herself has received. This post drew a massive 2.4 thousand like, love and care emoticon responses and 307 positive comments, so a very popular post here. Steve is the most senior of the profiles that are represented, and he is a chief superintendent. He's been diagnosed with testicular cancer and talks of the shock and devastation that the diagnosis brought, with funeral plans and life insurance being discussed with his family. He writes about the necessity for early diagnosis and for staying positive. Again, a popular post with 2,000 like, love and care responses and 242 positive comments. Eleanor is our last profile, and she is based in the Swansea area, her home community, where she participated as a child in the Girl Guide movement. When she was 13, she travelled to New Zealand to participating in a guiding jamboree, and she details the outdoor activities in which she took part with enthusiasm. She mentions how guiding gave her the confidence to deal with bullies during her school years, and wants to use her experiences to inform her work with the youth community. 197 likes and loves for this. So from the comments that appear on the posts, it is clear that many of the followers do identify and applaud the employees. It is not clear, however, whether South Wales Police have curated the responses and deleted negative or unpleasant comments. I had been put in touch with the media team responsible for the campaign, but they've declined to respond. I have a slight worry about exposure of the individuals. Some of the information is highly personal, and with some factions of society being heavily anti-law enforcement, this could potentially lead to issues of unwanted identification. Nevertheless, the campaign overall appears, and of course this is subjective, to have produced a positive, favourable response from the public to an organisation that is often heavily criticised. The stories remind us that although South Wales Police is a law enforcement body, it is made up of human beings who, like us all, have life crises in terms of having to deal with bereavement, serious illness, bullying, and juggling the myriad commitments that make up a normal adult life. That the focus appears to be heavily on courage through adversity would perhaps suggest that the force is trying to elicit sympathy and to encourage us to identify with the individuals featured in this campaign. Brand personality and its impact on marketing and PR is well documented and can help attribute human characteristics to an organisation. Brand humanisation can reinforce positive attitudes and the way in which stakeholders interact with the brand. Within these posts, we see how Aaker's brand personality dimensions, which focus upon sincerity, excitement, competence, sophistication, and ruggedness, all specific traits of personality, are present. To deconstruct these traits, sincerity can include such components as domesticity, honesty, and cheerfulness. Excitement can be associated with daring, imaginative, and contemporary traits. Competence can present itself as reliability, responsibility, and efficacy. Sophistication as pretentiousness, charm, or romance, and ruggedness as strength and outdoor enthusiasm. Links between the readers of the posts and the employees whose stories are told can result in brand attachment and the forming of relationships as readers identify with the employees featured. An inclusive attitude to the subjects of the social media posts can only help to develop identification of congruity between the readers of the posts and the organisation itself. In conclusion then, we see that posts from South Wales Police, even when positive and featuring success stories, often draw criticism and complaints. These human stories, however, appear to result in nothing but positive responses, which indicates that the posts are successful in establishing and developing positive relationships with the force's readership through shared experiences. Thank you very much.